Happy Tuesday, everyone. We're coming at you after that explosive start to the week with a little bit of strength work. So it's going to be a good time today. We're going to slow things down a little bit, work on some pulling from the floor, and see where it takes us. So before we talk about that, let's talk about our warm-up. We're going to get ourselves ready. Good morning, 3 to 5 reps. Back scale raise, 3 aside. Single leg RDL, 3 aside, unloaded. We're going to use this to practice and kind of warm up our body position for our accessory work. Weighted bridge with dumbbell over the chest, 20 to 30 seconds. Again, this is going to be practice for something we're using later on. So you can start light, you can even start empty-handed, and start to build and figure out where you want to live in your work sets. You're going to hit that for 1 to 2 rounds and move down to the bottom phase. We're going to work on some deadlifts to start building into that opening set, seeing where you want to start. 3 to 5 reps at a 3-second eccentric. Lunge Good Morning for 3 aside. We haven't done these in a while, so I'll walk you guys through this process. And then a Kang Squat of 3 to 5, just to really start opening up the hips a bit and make sure we're getting everything ready for our work set. We have 1 to 2 rounds to take down, and then we're going to move into our work set today. So our work set for our strength is 3 to 5 rounds of work, so it depends on how much time / volume you'd like for today. Deadlift for 6 at a 3-second eccentric down to the floor. Then you're going to do a single leg RDL for 8 per side with a 3-second eccentric to the knee. Foot assist pistol for 8 aside, 3-second eccentric down, and then a bridge hold with the dumbbell over the chest. So whatever loading you'd like to work with, even no loading, depending on how you're feeling with that, for working on that good breath and that good bracing through that midsection. So we're looking at 30-second hold, gonna add in some rest. Again, we're using the lower half of the body, so it is able to recover a little bit faster than just the shoulders, but I still want you guys to give yourself that time to recover. So I'd say a minimum 2 minutes of rest in between these sets to make sure that we are recovering well and we can hit these rounds strong each set we have. Let's warm you up, let's get you ready. Let's have a good strength day. All right, let's get ourselves warmed up. Let's get those feet under those hips. Take the arms big and tall up overhead. Just gonna shrug them up there, wake them up a bit. Pull them down to the shoulders. A little reach, come back through. Through, all the way down to the floor. Let's touch those toes. Walk up those shins, nice flat back. We'll come down, framing the foot. We'll step back into our lizard. We're going to lower the back knee down, pressing the hip, coming back through center, outside hand. We'll come back down, press the hip, come through, outside hand. Come back down, press the hip, come through, outside hand. We're going to plant that hand, straighten out that back leg, step back into our down dog as we reach through those hips. And come back into our plank, stepping that other foot up. Nice and square in those hips. We're going to lower the back knee, press the hip, outside hand as we open it up. Plant that hand down, press the hip, outside hand. Come on back down, and press the hip, outside hand. Here, straightening up that back leg, step it back into our down dog, reaching through those hips. We'll press and hold the foot. Press and hold the foot. Come back into our plank, press through the floor, tiptoe those feet up. We're going to roll ourselves all the way up, big tall stretch overhead. Little reach, little reach. We'll come down with those arms. Get ourselves primed and ready. Now, if you have any extra movement you'd like to take down for yourself, please do so. We'll get you moving around a little bit more. We're going to start flowing into that lower half focus and get you ready to go. All right, our next phase of work is going to kickstart off with some good mornings. And you could start with a sumo, you could do a squat stance, you could do a hip width stance, whatever you feel as though you need to do, or a combination of all 3 of those different stances to touch on the hamstrings and the legs in different positions. Now, in terms of our movement, I'm going to go to a squat stance. Our hinge pattern, it's going to be the same. So the same positions regardless of the stance. You'll feel it a little bit differently, but the movement mechanics are the same. I'm going to use my hand reference at my ribs and my chest to make sure that everything's staying nice and stable and I'm not breaking or separating through the midsection. I'm going to pull my hips back into that nice hinge, keeping that back nice and straight, my toes flat on the floor, but my weight staying right through where my laces staying really nice and smooth in the midfoot. So I draw the hip back into the hinge, feel that hamstring, stand tall, opening up the hips, the knees, nice and tall in that positioning. Now my next phase of work is going to be a single leg exercise that we're going to work on for balance. So I'm going to get myself set up like I'm going to do an RDL, but I'm really just kind of getting my balance set up for my body. So my hips are going to be square to the front. I'm going to have my palms kind of facing forward for myself. You don't have to do this, but I find it helps keep my upper body engaged. I'm going to push my back leg straight, and I'm going to push that leg to the back of the room as I soften into that front knee. I'm trying to keep my hips square, and I'm trying to smoothly lower to parallel to the floor. Now, that is an end point. It does not mean you have to go there. So I want you guys to make sure when we're doing this, there's a few key points that we're thinking about. Hips and chest square to the floor. My body from head to heel is moving as one piece, and I'm trying to stay as straight and flat as possible. So I'm really taking the time to move as one piece, as if I had a PVC pipe strapped to my head all the way to my heel, and that just allows my whole body to move as one piece. These are not fast. If you need a hand assist on a counter, door frame, bench, whatever it happens to be, to keep your balance a little bit more, please do so. But keep in mind, if you are someone who struggles with balance, this is totally legit for your back scale to continue building that skill piece by piece and inch by inch. So take your time, move to where you can, and have fun with that stability. From there, we're going to work on our single leg RDL. We're going to do this unloaded to work on positioning. So my feet are going to be underneath my hips. My toe is going to be in that kickstand position, so my hips are square. Hands are going to be to the front as if I was holding on to a dumbbell, but I'm just doing this one unloaded for positional focus. I'm going to draw the hip back similar to that good morning as I take my hands to my knee, and then I'm going to stand up nice and tall. I'm trying to keep my weight centered through my laces with my big toe down and stay nice and centered and balanced. It's very easy as I pull my hip back to put all my weight in my heel and just lean back. We want to stay centered over top of that midfoot the entire time we do that hinge, allowing the hinge to pull our chest down, but not have our center mass disappear backwards. Once we're done our single leg RDL, we're going to come down to the floor, and you can do this with a load. This is a movement you're going to see in your work set today. So you can do this loaded, unloaded, depending on you. We're going to take our feet about half a foot to a foot away from our glutes. Hands are going to be straight up over our chest. Fingertips reaching to the sky. Shoulders pressing up to the ceiling just a bit, and our ribs pulled in. Now if you're using unloaded, this is how it's going to look. If you're using a dumbbell, we're going to hold the bell on either end. We're still pushing the dumbbell to the ceiling, pushing our ribs, pulling our ribs in, and we're going to push our feet down into the floor to lift those hips up. So the whole time I'm doing this, I'm pushing into those arms, so I'm lifting the dumbbell overhead. I'm pushing my feet down to keep my hips level. And I'm going to breathe in through my nose, filling my mid-body, and exhale through my mouth, keeping those obliques, keeping those side abs turned on and active. So we're trying to breathe in here into the side mid-body, opposed to kind of working belly and expanding upwards. I want you to think about breathing into this side body and that mid-back today in that bridge position to help expand that mid-body. So take your time, breathe in through that nose, fill that midsection, exhale through the mouth, keeping those side abs, those beautiful obliques turned on and firing the whole time. Now as a quick recap, we have a good morning for 3 to 5, whatever stance or whatever series of stances you like. Back scale raise for 3 aside, single leg RDL for 3 aside, unloaded in the warm-up just to work on positioning and warming up that hamstring a bit before we start loading it, and then our weighted bridge with dumbbell overhead, over the chest of 20 to 30 seconds. Now we're going to see that in our workout, so if you do want to do that first set unloaded, there's nothing wrong with that, to get positioned to work on warming things up a little bit and fire things the right way. 1 to 2 rounds, take that down, get yourself ready to go. We're gonna come back at you and talk about the main focus of our strength work today, the deadlift. All right, the deadlift is coming at you full on today in this opening piece of our warm-up because it is the primary focus of our work set as well. So you can do the deadlift today with a single dumbbell, 2 dumbbells, barbell, kettlebell, whatever you have access to. So it's gonna be a little different depending on what you have access to, but the hinge pattern and mechanics are gonna be the same. Now, with a single dumbbell or kettlebell, we're gonna go from a sumo position. So we're gonna stand over top of that kettlebell or dumbbell. I'm gonna take my hips back into that hinge that I worked in my RDL and my Good Morning, and then I'm gonna lower down towards the floor. I'm gonna be a little lower than I normally would be in a deadlift because it's a lower object, but my back is still straight and my shoulders are nice and square. I'm gonna push through the legs, stand tall, and then I'm gonna take that dumbbell back down to wherever I feel comfortable with that range of motion, pushing through those legs to open up the hips and the knees. So from here, if I'm working on a conventional sense, I'll bring my feet a little closer, both hands on the dumbbells on either side, and I'm gonna take those hips back and down, taking it to where you feel comfortable, most likely mid-shin somewhere, and then standing tall. But again, remembering that that hinge position is our primary focus. This conventional deadlift is going to be very much the same with a barbell. So we can take it back into that good hinge, lower down, taking it to where we feel comfortable. Now with this, the hinge pattern is our primary focus. I want you to make sure that that back position is in your mind the entire time so that we're moving well and safely through that positioning. Bracing in between each rep, just like we were breathing in that weighted bridge. Now our lunge good morning, a little different. So what we're gonna do is gonna get into a stagger stance. So I'm gonna step forward and back, and my knee is gonna be over top of my heel, my back knee is gonna be soft, and my toe, which is my heel in the back, is off the floor. I can do this with a PVC or a broomstick behind my shoulders. I can do this with my hands on my hips or at my hand kind of assist position of my chest reference. And what I'm going to do is pull my hip back into that nice hinge. I'm going to feel it in that front leg, and then I'm going to stand up nice and tall. So that front knee doesn't move very much, but I am shifting a little bit into that back leg a bit in that position and stand. So I'm still doing the same RDL motion that I did in that first phase of work, except I'm doing it in that staggered stance. It's going to feel strange, it's going to feel kind of weird, but it is going to isolate that front leg primarily and that hamstring very, very well. Couple key factors here. I'll set up on the other side, all right, facing the front. Couple key factors. We keep our chest and our hips square to the front the entire time. And we stand up nice and tall, keeping this square. So we're not opening to the side, we're keeping that nice and square. So that hand on the hip is a good place to be, or even just hands reference so the shoulders stay square, because then you'll feel if your elbow starts to disappear to the back, you know you're rotating into the hip opposed to staying square as we pull back into that hinge pattern. So play with that a little bit. They're slow, all right? There's only 3 per side. And again, it's really just to gear up that hamstring just a tad to make sure we're feeling pretty good there. Our last exercise is going to bring it all together. It's not in our accessory work, but it's going to be a nice exercise to kind of finalize our warm-up, our Kang Squat. So our feet are going to be in our regular squat stance. I'm going to set myself up with my hand reference again. I'm going to pull back into that same hinge I just experienced, but this time I'm going to pull down into my squat. From here, I'm going to push into that hinge and then stand up nice and tall. So we're working on hamstrings, pulling into those ankles, opening up those hips, pushing into those hamstrings again, and stand. When we push back into that good morning, we want to feel those hamstrings just get tight as we push those hips up nice and high. So take your time with those, that 3 little exercises there. It's a beautiful way to get things moving, nice way to get things kind of organized and start figuring out where you want to start with your deadlift loading. Hit that 1 to 2 rounds. We have our deadlift, 3 to 5 on a 3-second eccentric. Lunge Good Morning for 3 aside. Kang Squat for 3 to 5, and then 1 to 2 rounds of that. We'll move into a little practice round before we actually start our work sets. So pause the video, come back and join me. We're going to talk about the movements in our work set, get you ready to go before you start your actual work sets. All right, you guys, what we got coming up, 3 to 5 rounds. We have our deadlift, which we talked about quite heavily in our previous work set. So whatever you are using for your deadlift, your sumo deadlift, kettlebell, single dumbbell, we're looking at 6 total reps. So if you're using a single dumbbell, you can go pretty heavy, but you'll do 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, because we're just looking for 6 good hinges, not per hand. So just keep that in mind. Each deadlift has a 3-second eccentric. All right, so if you're looking at that, you're looking at 3 seconds down to your floor position of either sumo, conventional, dumbbell, barbell, whatever you're using. Have some fun with it. These deadlift loads don't have to stay the same the entire set, or sorry, all 3 to 5 rounds. You can change them each round if you like, or if you find a weight that you're like, I'm good, you can leave them the same, rock them hard, and have some fun. Once you're done your 6 deadlifts, you're gonna move into a single leg RDL, loading them this time, or not, depending on what you're comfortable with. But we talked about that also in our earlier phase of warm-up, so if you need some points of performance, check that. Scroll back and check those out, but I'm just going to show you where we can hold the dumbbell. We can hold the dumbbell on our kickstand leg. We can hold the dumbbell by 2 hands to the center. We can hold the dumbbell on the balancing posting leg as much as you need to. Hips will always remain square. You could even hold 2 dumbbells if you'd like. And remember, we're taking them down to just below the knee or to the knee, where you feel maximum sensation in the hamstring. That's very, very important. Once we're done 8 per side with a 3-second eccentric, we're going to move into a foot assist pistol. Oh yeah, more single leg work. So with the foot assist pistol, what we're looking at is getting into that kickstand position. So we get that nice foot assist throughout this movement, and that foot assist is going to allow you to get those 3-second negatives. So where hips are square, we're going to draw the hip down towards the heel, staying primarily loaded on that balancing leg. So not shifting our weight kickstand leg, but staying square on this balancing leg. Now, if you're getting better and more comfortable with that foot assist, and you're like, you know what, I'm getting better, 8 reps with a 3-second eccentric per side, all these rounds have been pretty good, we can start to load it in the goblet. So we're going to do the same position, pushing into the goblet position. We're going to take that hip down towards the heel, staying nice and loaded over top of that lead leg. Again, working on that good 3-second load. Now, if you've been doing that loaded foot assist pistol for a while, you've changed some loads out, you've gotten pretty heavy with it, what you can build into now is taking away the balance position. So we're going to take away that kickstand and we're going to place it on the back of the heel. So we still get the foot assist within reason, but not for balancing. We just get the foot assist to help keep us square. So we stand tall, we take it down, same focus, weight is all on that balancing leg now, and we stand, hugging that toe to the back of the heel. Now that's a tough one. Once we take away that balance, we're hitting that good 3-second eccentric, and it's, you know, doing that for a while, things are feeling pretty good, you can actually load that, and then we load it through some different variations. So keep that in mind. We have lots of different variations there in degrees of difficulty, slowly making them more challenging, building that single leg strength, and building that true pistol strength. So we have 8 per side for 3-second eccentric. Then we're going to finish off with that bridge hold with our dumbbell over the chest for 30 seconds, like we did in our opening sequence of our warm-up. So again, if you need some focal points or some points of performance, scroll back, check those out, and put them into practice here. You can get quite heavy with this work set, but we want to make sure a couple things are stable. Arms are actively pressing towards the sky, and we're pushing down with our feet to lift those hips up into that bridge. So we're really turning on those obliques in the side body, not over crunching with our rectus abdominis. We're trying to use the side body to expand into and stabilize. So So a few things to focus on there. It's 30 seconds of breathing and holding in a nice position. So lots of time to kind of scroll up the body and back down to make sure we're kind of getting those points where they need to be. After that, you're going to rest, minimum 2 minutes, take it down again, changing out loads, maybe not, maybe so, but taking this down as best and as needed in terms of your dosing for your volume. I hope you guys have a ton of fun with this one, you guys. This is a nice pulling day, a nice chance to work on some lower body strength. You might be a little tired after yesterday's work set, but you know what? It's going to be a great day to get you into that midweek fun. So as always, work for quality, have a ton of fun. We'll see you tomorrow for a slightly higher heart rate. Bye, you guys.